my dog and gone through the blooming heather to seek for pastime. I took my way where I spied a fair young maiden. Her charms invited me a while to stay. I said, my dear, you will find that I love you. Tell me your dwelling and your name also. Excuse my name and you'll find me dwelling near the mountain streams where the moorcocks grow. And I said, my darling, if you'd wed a rover, my former rakings I will leave aside. Here is my hand and I pledge my honor. And if you prove constant, I will make you my bride. If my parents knew that I loved a rover, great affliction I would undergo. So I'll stay at home for another season near the mountain streams where the moorcocks grow. So fare thee well for another season, dear. I hope we'll meet again down yon moorland vale. And when we meet, we'll embrace each other. And I'll pay attention to your lovesick tale. It is arm in arm we will join together, and I'll escort you to yon valley low, where the linnet sings her notes so pleasing near the mountain streams where the moorcocks grow.
If there's one thing we learn more and more now, it's that when we look back at traditional music in the past, you're looking at it as a snapshot of time, and we sometimes lose context of the fact that music was as influenced by its surroundings then as it is now. You know, you can't sort of lock everything down, you know. I mean, I kind of just don't believe that these old musicians who were walking around weren't influenced by what they had around them, you know. You gotta use what you've got, you know. We're not sort of island-like figures who just, like, you know, keep in this acoustic world or the world of safety. At least it's not really making music if you do that, you know. I guess the idea of this album is just to try and take what you've got from the past and represent it in modern day, represent it in now and in what's around you. The sentiments in the songs are totally still valid, and I think that's the important thing I wanted to try and get across here is, you know, one of these songs, The Slighted Lover, was found in a book in 1675 in London, and, you know, the topics in the song haven't changed, you know, 300 40 years later things are exactly the same. So we can sing the same songs and feel the same things, but you know, we're going to present it in a different way because we have an amazing toolkit of sounds and toys that we can make sounds on now. So yeah, you have to use it.
I think Jarlath, from when we started recording the album, he knew he wanted some sort of electronic element to the album. I know he wanted to do a sort of a bit of a crossover thing. And I think that's where he was really interested in working with Andrea, because of Andrea's background working with electronic music. But I don't know whether any of us really knew what the sound was going to be until we started working on it.
Jar had quite a definite idea of where he wanted to take it from an electronic point of view, and obviously electronic music is my background. So it was interesting to hear from Jar where he wanted it to go and try and sort of marry up, go with what I'd heard it was, you know, acoustically. So in terms of that vision, I think it belonged to Jar and Dunk more than it belonged to me.
The pipes, at least the uilleann pipes, are considered to be really similar to the voice in what they can do. So you can't ignore that, you know. There's also an old saying that if you want to be able to play a really good slow air, which was traditionally a song, you need to be able to sing it, or at least sing one verse of it. That's an old thing that Seamus Ennis, the old BBC recorder and uilleann piper, said, you know.
One thing that I had as a vision from the outset was that whatever electronic influence we were going to have in this record, because of its roots within acoustic music, you know, which is what Jarlath and Duncan and everybody else involved can play and are known for, was to be able to employ sounds that belong to the instruments that are being used, and they are perhaps cut up and resampled and reused to not to be necessarily what they are, but to be used in different ways to create grooves and to percussion and basically to create that electronic element out of something organic.
So yeah, we got that kind of Darth Vader-y noise from just the air coming through the pipes, and then we got all these kind of bellowsy sounds, like all these kind of clicky noises. I can maybe show it to you best if I take off this maybe. So all these kind of sounds.
Sounds a bit like an iron lung, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a leather lung. So we recorded all the sort of, I guess you could call them the white noises of the pipes. All the sounds that people don't think you should hear musically, but make up part of the whole kind of aesthetic of playing pipes. You really do have to play pipes, you know, you have to get involved in it. It makes noise. It's a real physical kind of, I don't know, engineering kind of thing, you know. There's lots of bits that go click and there's lots of noises, and it's kind of cool to really have someone like Andrea who's just so experienced at like manipulating sounds and making cooler sounds out of cool sounds.
I was focusing on the groove or the, you know, how it was working, and a lot of it was kind of like in electronic music you get the looping function, and a lot of it's, you know, just a basis on which to put interesting things like vocals or melodies. So that's where I was living. So I felt quite strangely, for this such an organic sounding album, I actually was sitting with a lot of the kind of electronic ideas in my head. So I was in a completely different world than I've ever been for this recording.
I think the most important thing is to have space so that you can hear the lyrics, and we spent a lot of time on that and making sure that you could really hear you can really listen to this, you're really drawn into the story of the song.
I was kind of trying to minimise what I was doing in the recording process so that I wasn't just playing the guitar parts or whatever. I was trying to make it more minimal in terms, so like using a groove that is just a few notes over and over again, like I was saying with the electronic thing. But there was one point at which I hit my guitar with the mic in front of me in Gorbal Sound, and it was that noise. Makes like it's a really poppy kind of, you know, wooden sound, and we used that along with a bass sound, and Dunk was like smacking his double bass in the end, so we built up this rhythm track using that. There was a point at which we tried to create like an actual ensemble sound, so using the mics in one place, stereo mics, move me around to be able to make it sound bigger and spread it out, use the space, the stereo sound.
Well, there's the song "Courting Is a Pleasure," and there's this Latin American groove. It's like da da ba 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 da 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 da.
Courting is a pleasure between my love and I, and it's down in yonder valley I will meet her by and by. It's down in yonder valley, she is my heart's delight, and it's with you, lovely Molly, I will stay till the broad daylight. Going to church on Sunday, my love, she passed me by, and I knew her mind was altered by the roving of her eye. I knew her mind was altered by a lad of high degree. Oh, Molly, lovely Molly, your looks have wounded me. I then took out a bottle and I held it in my hand, saying, here's a glass, dear Molly, for our courtship ship is at an end. So raise your glass, dear Molly, drink the bottle dry for me, for there are 10 guineas wagered that married will ne'er be. Oh, never court a wee girl with a dark and a roving eye. Just kiss her and embrace her, never tell her the reason why. Just kiss her and embrace her till you cause her heart to yield. For a faint-hearted soldier never gained a battlefield. Oh, farewell, Ballymoney, and to County Antrim too. Likewise, farewell, dear Molly, I will bid you a fond adieu. America lies far away across the ocean blue, and I'm bound for there, dear Molly, and again I'll ne'er see you.
We'd recorded the Moog on Edmund, and in the context of the album we were still trying to make that track fit with the acoustic sounds of the album. And every time I was listening through, we'd kind of done some rough mixes of all the tracks, and every time I got to Edmund I was struck by this really direct sounding analog synthesizer. It was just so much more direct sounding than everything else in the album, and for me it was making it stick out too much. So one day I came into the studio and said to Andrea, let's stick the Moog, the recording of the Moog, through a guitar amp, stick a microphone in front of the amp, reamp it so that it's living in a space, so the sound has lived in real space rather than just at this direct sound. So we put the Moog through the guitar amp and recorded it, and it really worked. We thought this is really helping. And then I kind of thought, well, let's put the pipe drone through it as well and just put that in the same space. So Andrea patched that through so the drone was coming through the guitar amp. We were kind of sat back and we were listening to the sound of it recording. The guitar amp was in another room, and we were listening through the monitors. I was listening, going, that sounds totally great. And as more instruments started coming in, we were thinking, this is amazing. It's really, the whole track sounds different now. It's just brought everything together, and we were just listening to it, delighted. And then Andrea was like, wait a minute, and had a look. I was like, oh no, everything was going through the guitar amp. He tried to patch the pipe drone through, but all the sounds were going through the guitar amp. And as it turned out, it totally worked. It was just one of those things, another happy accident that I don't know, just added a sort of grit to all the sounds on the track.
Young Emily, being a servant girl, her lover a sailor bold, he ploughed the main, much gold to gain. For Emily we are told, after 7 long years had been and gone, young Edmund returned home. landed to his true love, and all his gold he did show that he had gained while on the main, as he ploughed the lowlands low. Her father kept a public house. It was down by the sea. Says Emily, you may enter there, and all night you can stay, and I'll meet you here tomorrow, but don't let my father know that your name it is young Edmund Deans, who ploughed the lowlands low. And Edmund, he has entered there, and all his gold he did show. Said Emily's cruel father, this gold will be your woe, for I'll set your body sinking down in the lowlands low. As Edmund he did go to bed, and scarce had fell asleep, young Emily's cruel father into his room did creep. He's dragged and pulled him out of bed, and to the beach sure they did go, and he set his body sinking down in the lowlands low. As Emily on her pillow lay, she dreamed a frightful dream. She dreamed she saw her true love lying in a crystal stream, and early the next morning to her father's house she did go, because she loved him dearly, who ploughed the lowlands low. Saying, Father, where's that stranger who came last night to lie? Oh, he is dead, no tales he'll tell. Her father did reply. Then Father, cruel Father, you will die a public show, for cruel deed that he has done. He later did confess. He was tried and he was sentenced, and he died a public show for the murder of young Edmund Deans, who plowed the lowlands low.
What's it doing? Like, you have to visualize the way the music. So he's basically playing one piece upside down and the other way the right way up. And then he's twisting it the other way.
We kind of talked about what sort of a sound we wanted for the album, and in some ways I didn't want it to be overly modern. In some ways I wanted it to be quite kind of warm and 70s like. So yeah, the guys decided ribbon mics was kind of the way to go in terms of miking stuff. Definitely some of the acoustic instruments anyway, guitars and things like that, and actually the pipes as well. When we recorded those, we ended up using a Coles, one of the BBC ribbons. So yeah, it just gave everything quite a nice warm sound, I think.
There's quite a few sort of vintage aspects to this record, apart from the fact there's a lot of folky instruments like whistles and pipes. There's also some vintage pianos on which I'm delighted about. There's a Fender Rhodes and a Wurlitzer, and one of the things I'm most excited about is this piano behind me, my Auntie Rayburn's piano. It's not been recorded before, and we got all the boys brought the recording gear over to the house because we can't move the piano, because if it gets moved the soundboard will break. But we managed to turn this entire room into a studio, putting mattresses up against the wall. It was a major epic.
I courted a wee girl for many's a long day, and I slighted all others who came in my way. And well, she rewarded me till the last day. She went and got wed to another. She went and got wed to another. Bride and bride's party to church they did go, and the bride went the foremost, she bore the best show, and I followed after with a heart full of woe to see my love wed to another, to see my love wed to another. Then the next place I saw her in church, she did stand, gold ring on her finger, her love by her hand. The man who she's wed to has houses and land, he may have her for I couldn't gain her. Gain her, may have her for I couldn't gain her. I saw her, she was sitting to eat, and I sat down beside her, not a bite could I eat. I thought my love's company better than meat, and love was the cause of my ruin. Ruin, for love was the cause of my ruin. Dressed in white, and the more I gazed on her, she dazzled my sight. And I lifted my cap and I bade her good night. Adieu to all false-hearted lovers, lovers. Adieu to all false-hearted lovers. Sweet, and lay me down silent no more for to weep, for love was the cause of my ruin.